Evening. We will now call the business session of October 6, 2020 to order at 6 p.m. On March 16, 2020, the governor suspended various provisions of the Open Meetings Act pursuant to his state of disaster authority. The change was effective March 16, 2020 until further notice or until the state of disaster declaration expires. In accordance with physical distancing guidelines and while providing as much transparency as possible, this meeting will not be open to the public. This meeting is being broadcast live at wccc.tv. The audio is also being recorded. The video and audio recordings will be available to the public. According to the Governor and Attorney General, statutes that may require face-to-face interaction between members of the public and public officials are suspended, provided, however, that the governmental body offers alternative methods of communication with their public officials. This includes public comment on agenda items. In an effort to allow for as much public input as possible, those who wish to submit their written comments on a listed agenda item were asked to submit their comments to the City Secretary's office by 11 a.m. today. The City Secretary will read into the record the comments submitted for the items listed on the agenda at the appropriate time. Individuals who registered to speak on a public hearing item will be allowed to speak remotely for 3 minutes. Esmeralda, did we receive any registrations for comments on public hearings?
Yes, Mayor and Council, we received one for public hearing item 698 that I can read at that time.
Okay. So you're going to read the comments or they're going to?
Oh, no, that's right. We'll let them speak. We'll give them their 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So when the registered speaker is acknowledged, he or she must limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. For any person addressing the council through the use of a translator, the speaking time will be doubled to accommodate the translation services. Now, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Our first item of business is to consider and approve the minutes of the September 15th, 2020 meeting. Are there any changes to those minutes? Those will stand approved as read. We have 2 public hearings tonight. The first is public hearing 2020-698. Paul Kane will make this presentation.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Paul Kane, Assistant City Manager. I'll be giving the staff report on this item. This is a public hearing to consider the adoption of impact fees for water, wastewater, and roadways within the corporate limits of the City of Waco, and for water and wastewater only in the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the City of Waco. Chapter 395 of the Texas Local Government Code authorizes the city to impose a one-time charge or assessment against new developments in order to generate or recuperate the cost of capital improvements or facility expansions necessitated by and attributable to new development. In July of 2019, the city appointed the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee, which consists of the Plan Commission and 4 members of the development community, to assist in adopting land use assumptions and review the capital improvements plan. City staff worked with Freese & Nichols, Inc. to develop the land use assumptions and capital improvements plan. On April 7th, 2020, City Council adopted the land use assumptions and the capital improvements plan report as the city's system-wide land use assumptions and capital improvement plan for the proposed water, wastewater, and roadway impact fee service areas. The proposed maximum fee calculations per service unit are as follows: $1,804 for water, $3,574 for wastewater, and $1,324 for roadways. Mayor, that concludes staff's report on this item.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Are there any questions for staff? I'll open a public hearing for comments. Esmeralda, I understand we have one person registered to speak.
Yes, Mr. Larry Jackson should be on the line now. And Mr. Jackson, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, we can hear you, Mr.
Did you hear me?
Yes, please go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Deaver. You know, I know y'all have already made up your minds, but this is going to be the biggest detriment that the city of Waco has seen as far as residential development has happened. Just the cost of the new residential subdivision ordinance that we've been able to see so far and make comments on a 50 by 120 lot is at $2,000 right now. The last inspection fee I had to pay for those lots was $115 a lot on top of that. Now we're talking about me giving you multi-million dollars worth of construction completely free, and y'all not being able to figure out how to maintain it and take care of it without coming back to the taxpayers for more money. And the burden on this is getting to a point that there will be no affordable housing in Waco, Texas. You listen to people like Freeze and Nichols, they've never built anything. We do everything we can do to build affordable housing for people every day. We track everything. We adjusted $750 off of what we did last year. It affected 20% of the home buyers who are no longer qualified, $750. And now we're talking about putting thousands of dollars more on top of those houses. You're going to knock out 40% of the buyers from qualifying to be able to buy an affordable house. A first-time home buyer today in Waco cannot afford to buy a brand new house. We just made a deal with Amazon. Those people are going to be making about $35,000 a year out there. They won't even be able to purchase one of the houses that we're fixing to be able to have forced to build. They won't qualify for a loan to buy one. What are we accomplishing? Y'all got to seriously, I know you're not going to do it, but you're going to be remembered for the people that put something in play that's going to be a detriment to Waco. We're scratching by right now with a busting economy. This thing slows down, it's going to be a nightmare. And every day is one day closer to that day. So, I mean, y'all just really need to reconsider the impact that this is going to have, because they're not showing you the negative numbers of the impact that this is going to have. Thank y'all for letting me talk.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Esmeralda, is there anyone else here to speak?
No, sir, there's not.
Okay, and we'll close the public hearing. There is no action by the council required tonight, so we'll move to public hearing 2020-699.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. This is a public hearing to receive comments on the 2020-21 Annual Action Plan prior to submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The City of Waco's Citizen Participation Plan requires the city to conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the 2020-21 Annual Action Plan prior to submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The Annual Action Plan includes a housing, homeless, economic development, and community development needs plan for addressing priority needs, and the city's specific plans for the use and spending of the 2020-2021 Community Development Block Grant Funds and the Home Investment Partnership Program Funds. The plan was made available for the public's review on September 10th, 2020, and will remain available through October 9th, 2020. Hard copies were available for the public's viewing in the city's secretary office, the housing office, and public libraries. The notice for this public hearing was published in the non-legal section of the Waco Tribune-Herald newspaper and posted on the city's website, posted at the city's libraries, and on the city's bulletin boards.
All right, thank you very much, Renisha. Are there any questions for staff? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Esmeralda, did anyone register to speak on this one?
No, Mayor, they did not.
Okay, then we'll close the public hearing and there is no council action required. So we will move to the resolutions. Have we received comment cards on any of the agenda items?
No, sir, we have not. And we can do the consent agenda first and then do the resolutions individually if you like, or vice versa.
Well, my question for Jennifer is, or Esmeralda, is can we take those 5 agenda items, 2020, 707, 709, 710, 711, 712, as one motion with Councilmember Kennard and I abstaining?
Sure.
Okay, would anyone like to make a motion approving resolutions 2020-707, 709, 710, 711, and 712?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Who'd you say?
We can't hear you.
can you not?
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries with Councilmember Kennard and I being disqualified because we filed an affidavit of substantial interest on those items. The consent agenda tonight consists of Resolution 2020-700 through 2020-729, with the exception of Resolutions 2020-707, 709, 710, 711, and 712, which we just voted on, which they just voted on. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move approval of consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield.
Yes.
Yes, that motion carries. We will move to the ordinances. The first ordinance is Ordinance 2020-730 on first reading.
An ordinance amending sections 255 and 256 of Division 5 Waco Convention Center and Visitors Bureau Commission and Article 2 Boards, Commissions, Committees of Chapter 2 Administration of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, to add a board member that is recommended by the Greater Waco Lodging Association that represents a hotel that is subject to the Waco Tourism Public Improvement District, and to revise the section on term of office consistent therewith. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing for inclusion in the code, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance comes to council on first reading.
You're muted, Kyle.
Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to Ordinance 2020-731 on second reading.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Waco, Texas, approving a negotiated settlement between the Atmos City Steering Committee and Atmos Energy Corp. Mid-Tech Division regarding the company's 2020 rate review mechanism filing, declaring existing rates to be unreasonable, adopting tariffs that reflect rate adjustments consistent with the negotiated settlement, finding the rates to be set by the attached settlement tariffs to be just and reasonable and in the public interest, approving the attached exhibit establishing a benchmark for pensions and retiree medical and benefits, approving an attached exhibit regarding amortization of regulatory liability, requiring the company to reimburse Atmos City Steering Committee's reasonable rate-making expenses, determining that this ordinance was passed in accordance with the requirements of the Texas Open Meetings Act, adopting a savings clause, declaring an effective date, and requiring delivery of this ordinance to the company and the Atmos City Steering Committee's legal counsel. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on September 15th, 2020.
Your motion.
Motion for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Sabito,
Yes.
Fairfield,
Yes.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move to Ordinance 2020-732 on second reading.
An ordinance amending the project and financing plan for reinvestment zone number 1 for tax increment financing to amend the agreement with City Center Waco to provide an extension for the design and engineering contract associated with the public plaza on Elm Avenue with an adjoining Festival Street on Bridge Street from Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard to Man Street and presently named Waco's Front Porch Project. This project being within the TIF Zone 1 in Waco, McLennan County, Texas, and authorizing the city manager to execute any documents in connection therewith, providing an effective date, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on September 15th, 2020.
Okay, and council members Kennard, Ewing, and Holmes and I have all filed affidavits of substantial interest on this item. So that being a majority, we are able to vote. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes.
Vito,
Yes.
Littlefield,
Yes.
Yes, that motion carries. Ordinance 2020-733 on second reading.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28, 247, and Chapter 28 zoning of said code. Providing the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as lots 1A, 2A, B1, B2, 15A, 16A, 15B, 16B, 15C, and 16C, Block 7, Baylor Edition, known as 1803 through 1805, 1809, 1817, 1821, and 1825 Bagby, shall be changed from R2 district classification and become and be designated R3 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on September 15th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Motion for approval on second reading, excuse me.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes.
Vito,
Yes.
Littlefield,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes, that motion carries. We will move to ordinance 2020-734.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco be amended by revising Section 28, 247, and Chapter 28 zoning of said code. Providing the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as lots 1 and 2, Block A, Man subdivision, known as 500 South 11th Street, shall be changed from M2 district classification and become and be designated to O2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a severability clause, and finally determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed to open the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on September 15th, 2020.
Is there a motion?
I'll move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Discussion. Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes.
Vito,
Yes.
Littlefield,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes, that motion carries. Ordinance 2020-735 on second reading.
An ordinance abandoning the following easements located near the intersection of FM 434 and Gurley Lane. Number 1, a 20-foot wide, 0.230 acre utility easement on property described as a 0.230 acre tract of land situated in the TJ Chambers Grant, abstract number 7, McLennan County, Texas, and being all of a called 0.230 acre tract of land described as a perpetual easement and a deed to the City of Waco as recorded in McLennan County number 2017-040-5023 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. 2, a 20-foot wide, 0.52 acre utility easement described as a 0.52 acre tract of land situated in the TJ Chambers Grant, abstract number 7, McLennan County, Texas, and being portion of a called 0.513 acre tract of land described as a perpetual easement and a deed to City of Waco as recorded in McLennan County number 2017-013061 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. And 3, a 20-foot wide, 0.018 acre utility easement described as a 0.18 acre tract of land situated in the TJ Chambers Grant, abstract number 7, McLennan County, Texas, and being a portion of the remainder of that 52.96 acre tract of land, tract 2, described in a deed to the City of Waco, a municipal corporation, as recorded in volume 27, page 57 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. Finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finally determining the meeting in which this ordinance is passed to open the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on September 15, 2020.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Is there a motion?
Move approval on second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Holmes,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes.
Vito,
Yes.
Littlefield,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes, that motion carries. Are there any council member reports on committees or boards or commissions liaison visits? All right. Seeing none, there being no further business, we will adjourn this meeting at 6:20 p.m. Y'all have a good evening.